Hey guys, my name is Maggie LeGrand and I am your moderator for this session with Kara. So I am a ODK graduate from East Carolina University. I was in the ODK circle there. I'm currently a teacher. I teach ninth grade world history and I'm currently on spring break, so I'm very excited about that. And today we're going to hear from Kara. So just to give you a little information about Kara, she's a junior at St. Norbert's College in Green Bay, Wisconsin, studying international business and Spanish. She currently serves as the Vice President of Women in Business and President of the SNC Radio. She's the host of Going Places, a podcast about travel, personal growth, and human achievement. She also works as a senior researcher at Young and Profiting Podcast, a top education podcast. Through her experiences in these roles, she has developed a passion for professional development and networking and loves to share stories to empower and encourage other students to develop their own personal brand and follow their dreams. She's also a yoga instructor, and she taught earlier today. And she works heavily within the Green Bay community to encourage public understanding and human connection through conversation. In her free time, she loves to cook Spanish food and buy plants. So take it away, Kara.
Thanks, Maggie. Hi, everyone. As Maggie said, my name is Kara Orbell, and I am part of the SNC Omicron Delta Kappa. SNC stands for St. Norbert College. If you haven't heard of that school, it's a pretty tiny school in Green Bay, but it has a lot of character, and I'll probably talk about some of my experiences in school and how it shaped my personal brand on LinkedIn. So we're going to get started. So when you think of LinkedIn, you think that it's a professional resource and a lot of business people use it. But as a student, I realized that not many students are taking advantage of this resource and taking advantage of this social media platform, even though Gen Z is labeled as the technological generation. I mean, we are known for our TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, Twitter, just everything we can use with a phone or an iPad, we're on it. So I wanted to bring some light into how students can utilize LinkedIn and how we should be using it, because I have a lot of observations on what we've been doing with it before. So I just want to preface that I am a student on a mission to empower and support other motivated students. This is really my reason for being here. I love doing this. I'm part of Women in Business, as Maggie said, and so this is why I decided to come speak at this conference, and I'm really excited to share my experiences and what I've been doing. So, as Maggie said, I do have a podcast called Going Places, and I am a senior researcher at Young and Profiting Podcast. If you have not heard of Young and Profiting Podcast, it is a #1 top educational podcast in pretty much all platforms. They're pretty well known. Going Places has been a really unique opportunity for me, and I will dive in a little bit later about how I use my different experiences to create a brand on LinkedIn. I'm also a marketing intern at Give a Damn Ventures, which is a sustainability company, and I work as a community organizer. And all of these roles, students are really busy. And so I use these roles as a way to connect with different people and reach people of all different types, which is really fun. I've been loving it. And here's a picture of me. I actually have a 60-pound backpack on my back because freshman year I did kind of a study abroad experiential learning program where I was able to camp for 23 days. So another fun fact. So I really wanted you guys to start by contributing to that poll. I want to see how this works with people, but I'm really curious as to when people post, not even students, just the average person would post. So if you have not taken the time to reach out in the poll, I encourage you to do so. The polls is right here. And I'll probably refer back to this, but I'll talk a little bit about the numbers I'm seeing. But this goes along with the research that I've been doing about LinkedIn and about what I've seen with LinkedIn. So I'm getting some answers. Actually, the biggest answer that I'm getting is people never have posted on LinkedIn. So I'm really excited about that because I can't wait to share my experiences and how you should be posting. But I'll check back with that a couple times throughout. Awesome. Okay. So as I check back with that, I want to refer to how students can use LinkedIn. And really, it starts with the career search. I think this is what draws students in because there is a way to find jobs in your area, and it's a way to explore future career paths. So LinkedIn is really great for doing so. I use LinkedIn. I actually found my young and profiting job on LinkedIn through a post, not through their job platform. However, you can really use it to connect with future employers or just in the career searching process. You can also use it to find mentors that you've worked with. Let's say you had an internship. This is a great way to find those potential mentors and those career guides, which is really a unique opportunity for students that we should be utilizing in the connecting space. So for networking, this is a really great way to connect with fellow students and individuals. This is one of the main points of my presentation today. I think networking is vital. You should use it in all aspects of your life. I use networking in my yoga. I use it for all aspects of my life. There's a way you can connect and reach different people, especially for podcasting, which I will touch on later. And then for expertise and advice, this is definitely untapped via students. So this is meeting people beyond the area that you're used to. It's meeting people beyond the people that you know, the people that you have interacted with in the past. And this is expanding to meet unique people and have those conversations on LinkedIn. And then having influencers or coaches on LinkedIn is really a unique opportunity. I use LinkedIn to find important talks and to expand my network just from that. And I will go into that later. So my problem with LinkedIn is students don't utilize it. This is a difficult thing for me to see. I've noticed a lot of women in business students or S&C radio students are not utilizing LinkedIn for how it should be used. So I see a lot of job post updates, and that's great. People love to see job updates and job changes, but there's so much more that you can do with LinkedIn than what we're actually using it for. And I wanted to reach out with the question about when the last time you posted was. So I'll double check that poll. Oh, we're getting some good responses. Okay, so the top response, 40% of people have never posted on LinkedIn. So this is really interesting. And then 20% of people posted last year or last week. So 20 and 20. That's really cool stats. And then if you guys wanted to write in the chat, if you guys have any questions, but I would love for you guys to write about what you posted about and then what you like to use LinkedIn as for your own brand. So if you're interested in reaching out or collaborating or communicating in this presentation, I feel free to reach out and I will check back with that later. Okay. And then also if you don't really know what LinkedIn is, you can definitely write that down in the chat as well. But I want to go into what you actually can use LinkedIn for, because students come into this space and they're like, oh, I don't have any professional experience. What can I use for? And there's actually so many opportunities that you can use LinkedIn for, whether it's personal, professional, and just growing your own brand and who you want to be as a human being. So I want to start with a few important things that you can use LinkedIn for. So first is the bio. That's the first thing anyone will see of you. And so that's really important to developing your brand and your purpose on any platform, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, anything. Everyone has a bio, and that really shows who you are. It conveys who you are as a human being. And then for experiences, I would say this is one of the most challenging aspects of LinkedIn, because people our age don't have a lot of experience. They don't have the job experience that most people have. We haven't been working in the industry yet. But you don't need to have that internship experience to have a good LinkedIn profile or to show who you are, convey who you are as a person. And I also wanted to touch on soft and hard skills, which I will. But the most important thing with soft skills is you have to go beyond, try to go deeper into what you've done instead of who you are. And the fact that if you say you're a hard worker, they're not going to know unless you give examples of how you worked hard. If you give that experience, you give that service experience or anything to show who you are as a person rather than just specifically stating in an adjective who you are. And then for hard skills, that's something you can use. So if you're proficient in Excel, I would say write it down. Anything that you know how to do, whether it's podcasting, whether it's Photoshop or Canva, use that as a way to show who you are and how you're killing it as a student. Okay, I just want to check back just to look. Oh, nice. Okay, so we're getting some good feedback in the chat. I'm going to check the poll too. So this looks really good. So people are posting about completing certifications and they're making their LinkedIns. That's awesome, guys. And if you don't know where to start, this is a great place to start. And the greatest place to start is the bio, because that's the first thing people see. So a lot of students write student as their bio. But I want to challenge you guys to go a little bit beyond that. There's so much you can say about yourself rather than, oh, I study here, or oh, I work here. And that's really what you want to convey. And so I expanded further on student. As an international business student, I wrote future global business leader. And I have gotten so many comments about this bio. Some people think it's a little cheesy. I think it really conveys who I want to be and my drive to get there. And so I wanted to put some of the most important parts of myself there. I liked writing empathy advocate. That was one of mine due to my community involvement. And then if you're a podcast host, write that because it tells a story, it gets people involved, and it might get you listeners, which is really great. But my question to you guys, if you want to answer, is how do you highlight the most important parts of yourself in a few words? How are you going to use this bio to create your brand and to tie people into who you authentically are? So if you want to comment on that, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on how you can tie this in, what you can use LinkedIn for. And then I also wanted to point out some words to avoid. So these are words that I've found through my research of words that are just overused or redundant, or they don't really convey who you actually are. So specialized, experienced, and skilled. As a student, you're not going to be an expert at something. So I would say avoid saying specialized, avoid saying something that you really aren't, or avoid generalizing the fact that you're great at something, because there's so much more you could say about this and about your bio. And then for passionate, expert, again, motivated, again, hard versus soft skills. Show up with the experience and show up with the experience and the hard skills to prove the soft skills about yourself. So if you worked somewhere, you worked on a team, that shows you're a team player rather than just saying straight up you're a team player. Don't say you're a student. If you're creative, talk about all the projects you've worked on to prove that you're creative, or to prove that what you've done is great and grand. And then if you want, you can play with the adjectives. So instead of saying hardworking, say curious or something different, just to change up the words, get the redundancy out of there, and make your profile stand out and be authentic. So keep those thoughts in mind, even as you're posting, as you're keeping what you want to say in mind, because I think the authentic brand is really important, and you don't have to follow the status quo with this. You can be yourself, even if you think, oh, I have to be professional, I have to follow this straight line. There is no straight line. You can really go however you want, as long as it provides a brand that shows who you authentically are. Yeah. Okay, so I just checked out the chat. So a lot of people are saying, oh, I only post about job or big life updates. That's great. And I can't wait to challenge you guys a little bit on other things you can post other than that. So another problem students may face is the experience. And I would say the most important thing with experience is you don't have to include just professional internships. I have a tip for professional internships to show if you got promoted. However, if you don't have that experience, focus on your education, focus on your service, focus on your organizations. When I was a freshman, I volunteered at a nonprofit in my school, and that was my only experience, but at least I had something there. And a lot of the work you're doing as a student can really convey into your future job, into what you want to do in the future. So I wrote down that I'm a community organizer, and that looks really great as experience. Even though it doesn't have a well-known company, it still is great experience, and you can still show those soft skills, show who you really are. And I have a trick. So if you want to show how you got promoted, or if you want to do it, what you do is, instead of editing your current role, you just add a new role. So you're going to click like the plus and then with the same company, and it shows that you got promoted, which is really cool. So I did that in mine. I got promoted as a senior researcher at Young and Profiting, and it kind of shows your timeline, which I like to reflect on. So it's really great to be able to show that experience and what you're doing. And HR in any company wants to see who you are, even if you don't have that work experience. You don't have to be perfect, but show a little bit about what you've been doing for the past 4 years or 6 years or whatever you've been doing. Okay, I'm just going to double check the chat. Cool. Yeah, we're still getting never is the majority for people who've never posted. That's funny. I'm excited because now we're going to talk about what to post and repost. So this was one of the most terrifying things for me as a student because I did not want to rock the boat or say anything or even just get my name out there. I was like, I'm a student. I don't have anything to say. I'm not a professional. However, you do have a lot to say, and there are so many ways you can contribute to the LinkedIn platform. So I would say start from the beginning. And this is the bare minimum. You don't know what to post. That's completely fine. What I did was I found TED Talks that I really liked. I followed TED. They were the first group I followed, and I literally reposted any TED Talk I enjoyed. So if there was a TED Talk, I would add a comment and then I would repost it, and it helped me formulate how I wanted to speak on LinkedIn and how you should write a paragraph, which it may seem really daunting, but that's how you get started, just from the bare minimum, very beginning. So a lot of people are saying how they only posted about a job change or a life update, but there's so much more that you can talk about other than a job change. So even if you're in the professional world, what are you working on? If you're a student, what projects have you been doing? What are you doing in your community? How are you incorporating your work into the community? I think this is something that really adds a lot to the platform. How are you living your life? What do you want to show people other than, oh, I go to a 9 to 5 every day, or oh, I go to class every day? Because there's so much more to you than just this professional, oh, I just changed my job. And you can create a community and create new conversations with people if you show that side of you more than just, oh, I'm this professional person in a box. You can show more. So including that, you can also talk about your accomplishments. This has been really fun, and I have really cool examples for this. But students win so much, and we're so afraid to talk about ourselves. Even with women in business, women don't like to talk about their achievements. They don't want to brag. But LinkedIn is the perfect opportunity to show that you're proud of yourself, to show the amazing experiences you've had. And this is a really excellent way to do it. If you have questions, you can also post about questions. This is something really unique. So if you have a question, even if it's open-ended, anything, you can post about it. And I'm going to show an example later. But people will respond and they are curious to see what you're thinking about. And then if you have any goals, you can talk about that as well. This is a really great way to expand on where you want to go as a student. Even if you don't have that experience, you can still say, oh, I want to be this. And you can also include that in your bio, in your description, anything like that. If you have goals, write them down, because that's really how you're going to get there and how you're going to show where you want to go. So here are some fun examples. This is my friend Patrick, and he ended up buying a computer for St. Norbert Radio Club, and he was so proud of himself. And this is the mini achievement. He didn't get promoted or anything. He didn't get a job anywhere, but this is still an accomplishment that shows how he worked hard, how he was able to get something together, get it organized, and then get it out there. And we've been using his computer ever since. But I thought this was just such a fun way to show who you are as a student, because we're doing so many little accomplishments every month. So this is such a great way to show really what you're trying to do with your life and how you're getting there. Another example is my on-air sign. So this was another way that you can just prove that you're working hard, that it's the little accomplishments that really add up to big accomplishments. So for the question that I mentioned before, if you have an open-ended question like a work-life balance, or like for people in your industry where you want to go, ask them. This question I asked got a lot of feedback, and I had really great responses for people who were genuinely curious about answering and genuinely wanted to help me figure out my work-life balance for my demanding school. So really feel free to be honest with your connections and ask these questions. Although you may want to be careful, it's still a professional space. So you probably don't want to ask like, how do I do laundry or something like that? I would say you can still use this space to ask the professional questions, to ask people in your industry where you are going to go. And then another example of an accomplishment is if you get a certification in a teaching, or you get something outside of your job. So I became a yoga teacher and I posted that. And a lot of people commented and I got a lot of views because I was able to show an accomplishment that I really was proud of. And I'm not in LinkedIn for the views, but it's really a unique opportunity to be able to show this. Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to go back just to see. Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm just looking at your chats. Okay. So I really am glad you guys are responding well to the small accomplishments. And that's really what LinkedIn is. It's about showing what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what you're doing well at. And as students, we do so much. Like if you're in an entrepreneurship class and you had to create a company, write about it. If you're in a environmental science class and you had to do a project on wildlife, write about it, because that's something that employers would want to see. They want to see you're working. And if you want to share the projects, you can actually include it in an attachment under your education or under your work and what you do. So when I had an internship, you can include like a PDF of what you make. As a marketing intern, I'll probably include a PDF of my work there. But yeah. I also wanted to include some fun stuff you can do with LinkedIn, because you can post, yes, you can do text, but you can also be creative. So if you're a graphic design major or if you're interested in creating graphics, Canva's a really great tool for that. You can make anything you want, anything in the world. I make a lot for my podcast, but you can really utilize Canva to share who you are and continue your brand by including positive quotes. That's another big one. If you don't know where to start, do you have a quote that you really like? Can you expand on it and talk about how it impacted your experience? Use it, because that will help you out a lot. If you are a creative, if you're a podcast host, blogger, creator, even if you're a playwright, like if you're doing something that has a tangible creation, write about it, utilize it. If you're an athlete, talk about it, talk about your game, talk about what you've done. It's the small things, but you can post about every single thing you're creating. Every episode I make on my podcast, I promote it on LinkedIn. And then I wrote play with trends. So once you start seeing LinkedIn, if you see something that stands out to you, utilize it. There's been a lot of different posts, like you can make graphics from the trends. You don't have to actually copy, but if you see like a formatting you really like there's a lot where it's like use the light bulb if you agree, use the clapping if you disagree, stuff like that. You can utilize to make people more interested and to really tailor your brand to what you want it to be, because this is your profile. You don't have to make it something that you're not. And then be yourself. Really utilize this creative space to make it who you want to be. If you look back on your profile 20 years later, how do you want it to look? How do you want to portray yourself as a college student or a professional? Okay, I'm just going to look back once again. Yeah, Canva's free. Thanks, Maggie. Canva is free. And I can talk about that as well if you guys are interested. But I want to talk as well about who you should follow, because I think there's a lot of confusion on what students should be doing in terms of connecting, in terms of following, what's the difference. So I wanted to talk about that and how you can grow your brand, but also who you can connect with. When I was on LinkedIn, when I started, I think I had 20 followers, and I was able to grow that to 500 connections in like 3 months, just because I finally learned that you can reach out to people and you don't have to be afraid to connect with people. And that actually is a great way to grow who you are, especially as a podcast host. So when you are figuring out who you want to follow and connect with, like posting and reposting, start from the very beginning. So that means start with speakers, start with people you look up to, and that can be in your local realm. So if you don't know anyone, connect with your mom, connect with your uncle, anyone you know, even in the industry. If you know your uncle's friend is in the marketing industry and you want to be a marketing major, connect. Even if you're scared, just connect. From there, once you're done with the local circle, expand. Do you know anyone who's a role model in your industry? Have you met any professionals from your industry that you would like to connect with? And even if you don't know what you want to do, use this space as a way to connect and find people in the realm. Even search your industry, search hashtags. You can follow hashtags. That's another way to do it. When you're in a college space or in a workspace, always connect with the people that you're closest around. Alumni, professors, or professionals that you work really closely with, always connect with them because you never know how they're going to come back into your life. Even if they have a different major than you, you're never going to know when you're going to need that graphic designer or that accountant. And having those deep connections from your college will really help you utilize that. And then for influencers, I really find it important that you should never be afraid to connect with someone. So the difference between connecting and following is connecting means that it's like sending them a Facebook request instead of like a Twitter follow where you never know if they'll follow you back. So it actively asks them to follow you as well. There's a deep connection where they have to accept you, and it's really not that deep. However, a lot of people get really spooked by this. I was so scared to connect with people because I thought they would reject me. However, once I actually learned, oh, it really doesn't matter, just connect, they'll connect back, it actually helped a lot. And I have been able to connect with really amazing entrepreneurs and CEOs from just hitting that button and seeing where it'll come. And that has been a really unique opportunity as a student to learn that, just because you never know. And it's been able to grow my brand and help me figure out where I want to be in my industry and in my realm. And you never know how your connections will impact you. Okay, I'm gonna go back just to see. Oh yeah, the ODK senior staff. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah, keep connecting, guys. Even if there's a role model, even in Omicron Delta Kappa, connect with everyone you know, because you never know how you're going to be influenced by the people you're around. And again, it's that community, it's that creation. You are your brand, so really connect with who you want to follow your brand. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about who I follow and the impactful people that I've seen for experience. This goes into the realm of I'm a student, I don't know what I'm doing, but I really want to grow what I want. So this is kind of where you should see who is going to guide you on your career even more than just your industry. So my favorite leaders in their fields are Alex Carter. She's a negotiation expert. Again, you don't have to follow these people, but if you don't know where to start, I really like these people. I think they provide really great content and advice. They may be sort of tailored to women in business just because I am the VP of Women in Business, but there are a lot of great tips that everyone has. And just keep looking. People will really resonate with you. So Alex Carter is a negotiation expert, and she gives a lot of great advice for young people to negotiate. She's a professor, so she has great advice for young people starting out in their careers. Kara Golden is a CEO of a company in an industry she didn't even know about until she started her company. If you want to be an entrepreneur, she has great advice for that and how to grow your business. And Marissa Orr has really excellent advice about women's equality in the business world. I'm a podcast host. Ooh. Oh, do you recommend okay, we have a question. Do you recommend when connecting with someone you don't know well to include a message or just connect? I would say include a message. Sometimes I do the message, sometimes I don't. If I had a job fair, I would write a message. If it's someone it really depends. If you have the good profile, like if you have a profile picture, if you have an established LinkedIn, there's more of a chance that they will connect with you. But if you just don't include a profile picture for privacy reasons, I would say always write a message. But if you can really relay that personal brand, people will connect with you without a message. So it really depends. But that's a really great question. And it depends on what you're seeing as well. So if you're seeing people are having trouble connecting with you, I would say always include that message. If you really want to develop that strong connection with the person, include a message. But if you just find them interesting, you don't have to include the message unless you want to go the extra steps. But continuing with more people I follow, if you are interested in podcasting, I recommend Young and Profiting Podcast. That is a really great podcast for all different types of listeners of all ages. I work there, yes, but I discovered them on my LinkedIn journey, and I have really they have really great advice from all experts around the world, and they will probably lead you to other podcasts as well. They have pretty cool people that are on that are also podcast hosts. So, and if you're interested in podcasting, there are so many for professional development and networking. Again, there's another one, Heather Monahan. She has a really great story about the corporate world and her experiences and how to have confidence in the corporate world. This might be more women oriented, where Young and Profiting is to all people, but she's again another really great resource if you're interested in podcasting and you want to learn more about networking and getting that personal brand and being confident in your professional self. And then if you're more interested in the trends and interesting stories, I recommend Jake Borzeth. He's our age. He's a Gen Z, and he has really great advice and experience on the trends that are happening today, which is really fun because you get to stay up to date. And then anyone from Shark Tank is on there, which is really cool. You get to see kind of their advice, their expertise, and their experiences. I like this a lot. I'm a huge fan of Shark Tank. So that was just a fun point. Like, there are so many people on there that you already know and that you're already interested in that you can follow for advice and experience. So in conclusion, this is really how to up your LinkedIn game. And I hope you guys utilize this to be posting, to be using LinkedIn as a resource instead of just a platform that's daunting, because a lot of students are super daunted by it. A lot of students don't like to use it because it's overwhelming, because it's kind of just, it's there, but the professional idea of it can be very daunting and overwhelming. So I want to just recap what I've discussed already, but really have that unique bio, utilize the bio, because this is where people will see you. This is where you can start to establish your brand. And this is where you can show who you are to HR professionals than just a student, or you're more than just a worker. And then, it says my internet connection's unstable, but I think I'm okay. Okay. So the next is post more than a job update. So job updates are great, and I encourage you to post those, but create that personal brand that reflects who you want to be and where you want to go. Utilize that to grow more than just, I switched jobs, yay. Use it to show who you are and what you're actually working on. And then use LinkedIn to connect with different people and follow different people, because there are so many resources and so many people out there who can be inspiring and who can guide you in your journey. Okay. So I wanted to leave the space open for any questions or concerns. We still have never as our top in the poll, so people never post on LinkedIn, but I hope after this they see this. I'm glad. Okay. I'm glad people are commenting. And if you guys have any questions, please reach out and please write in the chat. There's so many opportunities, and I just want to be a wealth of resources for you. Yeah. I'm just going to leave the space open for a little bit. I think the greatest thing about being involved in Omicron Delta Kappa, I'm just looking at this. The greatest thing to be involved in organizations like this is because you can connect with people. So even when you're thinking about connecting with people from your school, as I mentioned, expand beyond that, connect with Omicron Delta Kappa members, connect with different people throughout the country, because you never know where your job will take you. And so if you find a region, maybe there's someone living there that you know, or maybe there's more than that. And Maggie had a great question. It was, how often should you post on LinkedIn? Because I'm curious about how you guys are posting. And I would say it depends on what you're trying to do for your brand. Again, if you want to be an influencer, great, good for you. You can totally do it. But I just want to be a student who expands my brand and shows who I am. So I try to post maybe once a week. If it gets really busy, I'll probably post 2 to 3 weeks. But when I'm in there, when I want to grow my brand, when I want to get those followers, I really want to expand that. And I try to post maybe once every 3 days when I'm like on top of it. Again, it's more like when something arises, when you have that great idea that you want to post, do it. Be as authentic as possible. You don't have to force a post if you can't think of anything. But I hope this presentation showed you that really there's so many opportunities for you to show who you are, more than just, I just switched jobs. It can be about what you're doing and what you're working on throughout the semester. And we have a bunch more questions, which is great. So how do we encourage other people we know who do not have LinkedIn profiles to create or expand theirs? That's a great question. So I would say the best thing you can do is be a role model and show them what you've done with LinkedIn. Once you start posting and connecting, your LinkedIn will grow and you'll be able to see those resources and relationships you build on this platform. So just start from the very beginning, just by starting out and growing your platform and then showing people what you can do with it, how you can post with it is really great. Oh, I think I have, oh, I think we're good. Okay. I'm not going into business, but can LinkedIn still be beneficial to me? So this is a great question. And yes, it can. I always recommend this. I mean, business impacts everyone. So I see a lot of actually medical professionals on LinkedIn. I see a lot of different people from all over the world, different countries, different professions. So Emma, of course, you can do LinkedIn. I mean, that might be really unique too. If you're a bio major and you talk about bio and you connect with different biomedical service providers or different people on LinkedIn, that would be a great way for you to grow your presence. If you're an artist, great. If you're as a yoga teacher, I notice that people are so more interested in what I do, that I notice that people are more interested in what I do when they're not in the yoga space. So these people are really like business professionals love to hear about the yoga I'm doing. Different people love to hear about it because they don't know a lot about it, and that curiosity can spark. So even if you notice that you're following a lot of business professionals, I would say start to find people in your industry because they're probably out there, but also use it as a way to connect and grow with people in different industries. And then yes, follow Omicron Delta Kappa on LinkedIn. Okay, joining a group different than following a page. Ooh, I don't know that one. I think that's a tough one. I don't really know a lot about groups. I think you have to request to join a group. It's probably like Facebook. Ooh, that's another good question. Okay, so I would say for the group, you can follow a group, but that's definitely different than joining a group. So I would look deeper. It's probably like connecting versus following. Connecting is that deeper connection. You're growing with people, where following is just, oh, you're seeing what they're doing. And there's a lot of groups that you can follow, a lot of companies you can follow. That doesn't mean you're necessarily involved in them. So I would say look for the groups. And I think if you request to join a group, that's probably how that works. But I do not have a lot of experience with that actually. So I will check that out. And then, is there a wrong way to use LinkedIn? I would say the worst way to use LinkedIn is to be inauthentic, to show who you are not, because really you're trying to provide your brand, but if you're trying to sell something or you're trying to prove that you're someone you're not, that's not a good way to use it, especially as a student. You don't have to show a fake side of you. You can be authentic. You don't have to hold yourself behind that professional barrier more than, yeah, more than just what you are. So I think I just want to say thanks. You guys can keep answering questions. I will still be here. This is amazing. This is going really great. And I really love seeing what you guys are thinking as a student, because I'm still curious. I'm still learning about LinkedIn. So this is really an amazing resource. And I just wanted to say this presentation was made on Canva. So if you are interested in making these presentations and creating your graphics and doing a more creative side, utilize Canva a lot. It's a free platform. This is what I do. I use it a lot for podcasting. And yeah, I really enjoy making these presentations. And then if you are more curious, I have a podcast called Going Places. So it is available on all podcasting streaming platforms. And I have interviewed entrepreneurs. If you don't know where to start to post, find Going Places and post about that. That might be a fun way just to connect. And you can always connect with me on LinkedIn. But if you are intrigued to learn more about people from different stories, different backgrounds, Going Places is the place to be. And you can also connect with me. Again, I'm still going to be here. I just want to show for people who may have to leave early. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love that. I will connect back. You can also connect with me on Instagram. These are a few of my handles, but really utilize this space to connect with me and bring Omicron Delta Kappa together. I think this is a really unique opportunity. So always connect. And I will stay on for a little while longer just to see if anyone has more questions. But if you guys want me to go back anywhere, or I think you can download the PDF, I encourage you to do so. Really, this is a great opportunity. I encourage you to use LinkedIn because we are the technological generation. And so use this to your advantage when you're figuring out your professional world. I think. Okay.
Okay, guys, before you leave, make sure you fill out the session feedback form for Kara so she can get feedback from all of you guys. And please, again, feel free to use the chat if you have any questions for her.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kristen. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm hoping anyone of all ages can utilize LinkedIn. I mean, there's so many opportunities for people of all ages, and you don't have to be a student to listen to my presentation, but there are definitely a lot of ways that you can use LinkedIn just to promote what you're doing. And even if you don't really have a job, you can use it to show what you're doing in the community. There are a lot of support for people who are unemployed on LinkedIn. So you can really find a lot of different resources and different niche opportunities and jobs, which is nice.
Oh, hey, Kara, you have a question in the chat. It says, have you noticed LinkedIn is more popular with Gen Z from other countries compared to the US?
That's a good question. I would say the most experience I have is with people from the US, so I don't actually know. But I would say it depends on where professional development is more prominent. I think a lot of the problems with LinkedIn is you get one because someone forces you to get one in high school and then you never use it and they don't really teach you how to use it. So that's a really good question. I don't know. I'll have to do some research. And then I think you can upload resumes on LinkedIn. I don't really know, which is kind of bad. I know you can on Handshake, but I use LinkedIn as like my resume. I don't think I would, just because it shows my information, and I think your LinkedIn brand should be different from your resume in a way where you're portraying different things. Like you don't have to use the resume formatting, and I think your bio should be different for LinkedIn, and your work experience should say different things from your actual resume where it's like contributed to this project. Like it shouldn't be that. It should be more of a sentence describing what you're doing. However, if you are applying for a job, you can. Aw, someone just posted on LinkedIn. That's great. Nice. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so, and you guys can keep commenting. I'll probably be here. I mean, yeah, I ended a little early. So if you guys have any questions,
Kara, you don't have a regular follow check mark on your LinkedIn page, right? You just need to connect with you. Like for sending you a message.
I think you can follow. Actually, that's a good point. So when you're looking to follow versus connect, you may have to dig deeper. So next to a person's name, there should be 3 dots. And in those 3 dots, it might say follow or it might say connect. The bigger people probably have connect and then follow. No, follow then connect. So you might have to dig deeper if you want to connect with a specific person. And some people require that you put their email in there. So if you can't connect with someone, it's not a huge deal, but there are ways that you can find someone. But that's a good question. Yeah. Awesome. Right. I think we should stay on for like 5 more minutes and then I think we're good. But I'm glad you guys got a lot out of this experience. And if you have any questions, I'm always here. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. There's so many ways you can connect and just, yeah.
Kara, how do you pick your people to interview for your podcast?
That's a good question. I pretty much interview anyone with a story. So if I reach out to people, which I have found people to interview from LinkedIn, but if I meet someone or I see someone has a really unique story, I'll talk to them. Or if they have a job that I find interesting, like I've interviewed neuropsychologists and dermatologists, I would reach out to them. And it doesn't have to be in my industry. I just kind of see someone and I know they have a story, and then the the gears start turning in my head and I formulate an interview pretty much right there in my head on what I want to talk about, and then we go from there. So yeah. And really LinkedIn has been a really excellent resource for that in creating my podcast. And if you're interested in podcasting, LinkedIn has so many resources for that. And you can use it as a way to find connections and to find people. I know a lot of college podcasters use it to find people they're going to interview. I'm kind of a mix of both. I find people from friends of friends, from people way in my realm, and then I'll use LinkedIn to find other people as well. But yeah. All right. Oh, I think we're good on questions. If anyone else, I mean, yeah.